kitchen table, early evening light, a mug cooling beside me. I want to talk to you like a friend who respects you enough to tell the whole truth. Submission is a loaded word, but the biology underneath it isn't political. To bring life into the world, a woman has to surrender to forces larger than her. Conception she cannot micromanage. A pregnancy that reorganizes her body without asking permission. And childbirth that arrives like weather, wave after wave, until she lets the body lead and breathes its timing. That is not weakness, that is alignment. When the storm of labor rises, fighting it makes more pain. Working with it opens the way. That cooperation with a greater force imprints a pattern in the nervous system. When a strong, reliable lead appears and it points towards survival, follow and conserve energy. You don't learn that with a TED Talk. Your cells learn it, your breath learns it, your gut learns it. And because humans carry their biology into their bonds, that pattern echoes into relationship dynamics. Not as a rigid rule, but as a deep bias toward peace. I can relax and follow when the lead is real. I'm not saying submission is owed to any man. I'm saying alignment happens naturally under 3 conditions. His direction is singular, his vision expands life rather than shrinking it, and his leadership tangibly reduces existential anxiety about survival. We'll put concrete handles on each of those so you can feel them, not just think them. A kettle clicks off in the background. I lower the heat on the stove and come back to you. First, certainty. Certainty isn't volume. It's not a loud voice, a square jaw, or an opinion he repeats until you stop arguing. Certainty is the absence of internal division. When a man is split, you feel it. He says he's committed to building a business, but he's also trying to be the most agreeable employee at a job he secretly hates. He's committed to you, but still negotiates with old ghosts on his phone at 1 a.m. He's trying to save money and also impress strangers. That split leaks anxiety into the home. The reverse is plain, direction that doesn't wobble. A man with certainty doesn't promise 20 futures. He chooses one and takes the cost. You hear it in the verbs, I will by this date, in this way. You can map his week and it matches his mouth. You can watch his hands when pressure rises and they do what he said they would do. That lowers the background hum inside your body the way a steady driver steadies a car. Second, growth. A vision that promises growth isn't easy. It's alive. Growth means skills increase, income becomes sturdier, social fabric thickens, home becomes more resourceful. You can feel growth as space opening around you. Books on the table, new competencies on the calendar, introductions made, habits stacked, systems built. Stagnation is the opposite sensation. Everything is smaller, tighter, quieter. Joy becomes a luxury item that nobody can afford. Biology notices your nervous system is always running forecasts, safer or riskier, more oxygen or less. A man's vision that expands the oxygen of life, opportunity, learning, resilience, communicates to that forecasting system. Invest here. People argue ideals, bodies run numbers. Third, survival calm. We talk about romance, but the old brain still evaluates survival. It makes crude measurements. Will we eat? Will we be sheltered? Are we exposed to unnecessary threat? Does this person reduce chaos or create it? A man's leadership that reduces existential anxiety shows in predictable places. He sets a budget and keeps it. He plans for contingencies without becoming paranoid. He notices small maintenance before it becomes big emergency. He has a map for crisis that makes you breathe easier. The car breaks, he knows the mechanic. A family member gets ill, he coordinates without dramatics. A bill goes wrong, he gets it corrected. That's not glamorous, but it is love as safety. When those 3 are present, certainty, growth, survival calm, submission stops being a moral debate. It becomes effortless alignment, like easing into the current of a river you trust. My phone buzzes once on the table. I glance at it and let it go dark again. Here's where the ordinary pressures of life test all this. Imagine Sunday evening. Work emails are already starting to nip. Rent is due this week. The car made a strange noise today. The baby's diaper rash flared up. In that environment, rhetoric evaporates and leadership becomes extremely visible. The The split man will soothe himself with distraction and tell you you're being negative. The certain man will open a notebook and say, okay, order of operations. He'll delegate, he'll make a call, he'll adjust the week's plan, he'll put time and money where the priorities really are, and crucially, he'll do it without making you pay an emotional tax. That reduces existential anxiety in real time, and your body feels the ground return. That's what the labor pattern recognizes: stronger force, benevolent, moving in the direction of life. Follow. If you're a woman listening, I want to give you a fast test, nothing mystical. 3 questions you can ask yourself after a month of observing him. 1. Can I state his mission in a single sentence I could repeat to a stranger with a straight face? And would the calendar on his phone prove it? 2. Can I list 3 concrete ways our life is expanding because of this mission? Skills, savings, network, or character, and not one of those is a fantasy purchase or a borrowed identity. 3. When last week got messy, did my breath get shallower around him or deeper? If you can answer yes, yes, deeper, your nervous system is telling you alignment is available and safe. If you can't, you don't need an argument. You need distance or a difficult conversation. The neighbor starts a lawnmower outside. The sound comes and goes. If you're a man listening, I'll be blunt because men want handles. Radiate certainty by removing splits. Decide which arena matters for the next 18 months and stop feeding the others. If it's your craft, build a training plan with daily inputs and a monthly checkpoint you can fail or pass. If it's the business, choose one buyer, one promise, one channel, and write it on a whiteboard where someone can hold you to it. Certainty grows when you stop giving yourself exits you haven't earned. Promise growth by designing an engine, something that turns time into capability and capability into value you can trade. Engines are boring up close. That's how you know they work. And reduce survival anxiety by doing the unsexy things on time. Pay the bill on the due date without drama. Keep a simple emergency fund and a list of who to call when specific things break. Learn to schedule, not just intend. None of this is domineering. It's protective clarity. The reward is that a woman's deep body, trained by the largest surrender there is, recognizes you as a force that helps life, not a ripple that adds drag. Someone texts me asking if I can make a thing urgent. I type a quick, "I'll deliver by tomorrow at noon," and lay the phone face down again. Let's address the obvious objection. What about fake certainty and predatory control? Biology has defenses. Listen for friction with reality. The pretender speaks in absolutes, but avoids measurable commitments. He explains, persuades, performs. He does not calendar. He asks for trust as a gift he's owed. The real leader earns trust as a byproduct of doing what he said. He isolates you from supportive networks. The real leader increases your links to resources because he isn't threatened by you having oxygen. He feeds on your anxiety to feel needed. The real leader reduces it so the relationship can be chosen, not clung to. If you're unsure, run an experiment. Request one clear, bounded outcome by a specific date that matters to both of you. Watch the behavior. Your nervous system will read the result accurately. A pot boils over for a second. I move it off the burner and wipe the stove with a towel. Back to you. Alignment isn't 24/7 obedience. It's the freedom to relax into a trustworthy current. Sometimes you lead because your expertise is higher in a domain. Sometimes he leads because his is. But the underlying peace comes from knowing the mission is singular, the horizon expands, and survival is managed by an adult who doesn't download the cost onto you every time life twitches. That peace has a tone. It sounds like ordinary laughter on a Tuesday, like groceries bought before they run out, like a home that feels planned rather than improvised. And because it's ordinary, you might underestimate it, but your body won't. The biology that handled labor knows the difference between force that opens and force that crushes. Let's make this practical tonight. If you're evaluating a man, stop listening to adjectives and start mapping systems. What is the one-sentence mission? What are the weekly inputs? Where are the checkpoints and the deadlines? What's the plan for money, health, and emergencies? How does he respond when a small thing goes wrong? Does he scale it or solve it? And how does your breathing change after an hour in his presence? Build a small scoreboard you can check without telling anyone. If you're the man, build that scoreboard for yourself. Put it where you can't lie to it. When the day goes bad, don't self-soothe with promises. Ship something small that serves the mission and tell her the truth about what you're doing next. I go quiet for a moment. Outside, the lawnmower stops. The room is still. This is the quiet beat that tells you whether the home is a place to recover or a place to brace. When the leadership is right, the quiet is generous. When it's wrong, the quiet is loud with dread. You don't fix that with slogans. You fix it by becoming or choosing a leader who converts chaos into order in visible, boring, loving ways. Here's the simplest way to install all of this so it's not just a nice conversation. I take an index card from the drawer and write 3 words in black ink: certainty, growth, safety. Under each, I add 1 sentence: the mission in 12 words, the engine that turns time into value, the practices that reduce existential anxiety this week. I stick the card to the fridge so it gets judged by real life. That's the action. 3 words, 1 card in the open. Now biology has something to read and follow.